Mic check. Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Off the Top, where you, lucky you, get to hear about my very exciting week. We're back in New York. Last week I was in Denver, recorded there, seeing the niece. New York does feel like it's a little bit deserted right now. Feels like people are out of the city. It's summertime in full swing. So we're head down in the work, baby. Another week. Lessons from last week. We got some good ones. I listened to a podcast with Stephen Pressfield, who is an author. He talks a lot about turning pro and the difference between being a professional and an amateur, how he was able to become the writer that he has become. A couple simple decisions. Number one, he talks about showing up every day, no matter how you feel. He talks about working through fear and not waiting for inspiration to come to you. Turning pro means that you stop consuming and you start creating. For me, this has been a shift in the last few months where I felt like I was trying to find that thing, and now there are a couple things and it's just like produce. And once you get to that point and you are producing enough, then at that point you're waiting for time to catch up. With quality and consistency, the variable is time. The last thing he talks about is how turning pro can often isolate you, and that not everyone will understand your shift in behavior, but that your allegiance shifts from pleasing others to honoring your calling or your craft or your business, whatever that is to you. So shout out to our boy Steven. Crushed it. I think the episode was with Andre, Know Thyself. On the same heels of this concept is a quote from Theodore Roosevelt. He titled this "The Man in the Arena," but I know we've got some killer women out there, so we're going to adjust the pronouns slightly for our lovely women because it is applicable to everyone. It is not the critic who counts, not the person who points out how strong the other person stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the person who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there's no effort without error and shortcoming. Facts. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails or they fail, at least fails while daring greatly, so that their place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither knows victory nor defeat. At the end of the day, like, something I've been thinking more about is, like, on your deathbed, are you going to wish, damn, I really regret being cringy? Like, no, fucking get out there and create something out of this life. Like, this is what I've been telling myself for a year and for multiple years. It's hard to actually embody that, at least for me, but it's easy to point fingers at somebody from the bleachers. But when you're in the arena and you're fucking putting yourself out there, you have my respect, and you have the respect of other people that are also doing that. And that's the proper way to live, not behind the scenes, pointing fingers, commenting on other people, sharing shit behind people's back. Like, fucking put yourself out there and see what you can become. Talking to Luke. The other learning from this week comes from Simon Sinek, talking about individualism and the focus in our world on optimizing self-growth, self-development. And obviously I'm somebody that embodies that as well and falls victim to it. But his point was an interesting one, that we are so consumed with ourselves that a lot of times we lose sight of a lot of the places where we can actually draw happiness. So one of the points he makes is instead of focusing so much on your diet, your exercise, waking up at 4 a.m., cold plunging, saunaing, and what supplements you take, if you were to focus that same level of energy on how you show up for your friends, chances are you would be much happier and better off. I thought it was a really good one because I catch myself in this place a lot of times over optimizing my life. And on this self-development journey, I need to remind myself too that investing into other people's lives, friends, family, your partner can also bring that same level of happiness, if not more. Challenges from the week. So one, and I don't really know if this is a challenge, just more so something I'm thinking about, is in starting the podcast and just business in general, the advice people will give you is to niche down. Find your part of the internet that hasn't been explored, that you have an interest in, and double down on that market. It's something that I know is probably the right thing to do, but with the podcast so far, I've just been finding entrepreneurs that lean towards mindfulness or creativity, and it's relatively broad. But I do think the only way that this could work long term is to follow my own curiosity. And that's, I think, the problem with trying to find a specific niche and picking a niche because you think there's a ton of opportunity. In business, it can look different. But with something like this, like you only break through if you can follow your own curiosity and you do it long enough and outlast long enough for time to catch up. So yeah, I think I've battled whether it's the right thing to niche down or following my own curiosity and keeping it relatively broad is okay. Wins for the week. I can't remember how this came up, but I sometimes catch myself saying I have to do X, Y, Z. And a reframe that I got that I've been thinking more about in the last week is I get to do X, Y, Z. So I get to record off the top. I can't fucking wait to record off the top. I get to edit 4 shorts. I get to write my show notes. I get to think about other ways to grow the business, or I get to show up for a friend maybe when I don't feel like it. And it's in line with the abundance mindset. And even like speaking about New York, like sure, it might be hot and it's summertime, everyone's left, but I get to live here. I live next to my favorite coffee shop in the city, and I'm so grateful that every day I get to walk outside and experience the community that I've garnered over the last few years. And those are just like very subtle things, but it's a massive blessing. And I think a lot of this is just your perspective and how you show up for yourself. That abundance mindset, I think, is really important. So win number 1 was that reframe. Win number 2, I slowly feel myself getting more comfortable on camera, especially with these off the tops. My sister gave me good feedback that she suggested that I lean more into my personality on camera. And I think that's really, really good advice because it might polarize in a way, but the goal is to polarize. You're not going to please everybody. And the more that you can show who you are, I think the better. And that's what you hear from a lot of successful people. Eyes on. This week, I met a girl, Ari. She started this company, Halfdays, killer wear. They focus on ski wear for women and have crushed it. They've raised a couple rounds of funding, and hearing her founding story was really cool. I think we're going to try to get her on the podcast. But this sweatshirt is great. We're big fans. So shout out Halfdays. They've got some cool collabs coming up. Ari also just launched a Substack that I've been following that is helpful advice for entrepreneurs. So shout out Ari. Extra credit. I think this is in line with what I've been speaking to today. This idea of appreciation and gratitude. One of my favorite people in this world, and actually who's number one on the list for guests on the podcast, is J. Cole. He's a musician, a rapper, but he has a song called Love Yourz. And to me, it's one of the most moving songs I've ever heard. And the idea is just that there's always going to be something better. There's always going to be, somebody more successful, somebody that's wealthier, somebody that seems like they have more friends. But you won't be happy until you can look at the life that you live and love it. And that's the message that he preaches through the song. And it's a beautiful one. This week on the podcast, we have Anne Malum. She is a killer, somebody that I've looked up to for a long time. She's a mentor, and having her on was a big step. Yeah, she just commanded the room and had a lot of interesting points. I was going through the episode and marking shorts that we could include on our introduction to Anne, and I marked 35 within the episode, which is a lot. It's basically like every other minute she had something that I was like, this could be the top moment of the episode. So I'm going to end with a quote that I got from Anne, actually. She said, "Your name is the most important word to you in any language." At Solid Core, the fitness studio that she founded, you'll hear your name a lot, and you can hear on the episode she uses my name a lot, because it is a powerful way for people to feel like they're being heard and being seen. So, episode drops this Tuesday. It's a great one. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. We are chugging along. This will be the 12th episode. A mile marker for me is 20. 99% of podcasts fail or stop before 20. Or we're going to get to 20 and see what happens. Sending lots of love from New York.